Closing arguments still going on now in the high-profile trial of former officer Derek Chauvin, the tight security in Minneapolis ahead of a verdict. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria laying out an ambitious plan to get homeless San Diegans off the streets. The money he wants to set aside to roll out a number of services. Some North County parents pushing to get their kids back into the classroom. The answers they're demanding ahead of a school board meeting. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Closing arguments are underway right now in the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Thanks for joining us, you guys. I'm Virginia Shaw. The case goes to the jury following closing arguments, which means deliberations could begin this afternoon. ABC's Rena Roy has details on the planned protests and heightened security ahead of the outcome of this trial.
Today, both sides in the closely watched Derek Chauvin murder trial getting one final chance to make their cases and convince the jury. The prosecution trying to prove Chauvin's actions when he pinned George Floyd's neck to the pavement with his knee for nearly 9.5 minutes were a substantial cause of Floyd's death.
George Floyd begged until he could speak no more, and the defendant continued. This assault, this was not policing, it was unnecessary. It was gratuitous, it was disproportionate, and he did it on purpose.
The defense attempting to create reasonable doubt, arguing Chauvin's actions were reasonable and that Floyd's drug use and heart issues ultimately led to his death. Defense attorneys also claiming the crowd of bystanders distracted officers.
He's not responsive right now.
For nearly 3 weeks, jurors heard powerful testimony from 45 witnesses, including George Floyd's loved ones, medical experts, and law enforcement officials. The former officer facing 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter.
Minnesota, they have to get this right. The jurors, they have to get this right. My brother was tortured to death for over 9 minutes.
America watching intently as protests continue coast to coast following the recent police officer shootings of 13-year-old Adam Toledo in Chicago and Dante Wright during this trial near Minneapolis, just 10 miles away from the courtroom, increasing tensions in a community already on edge. Roughly 2,000 National Guard members deployed to this area, 2 guardsmen injured in a drive-by shooting over the weekend. Schools here will be going remote starting Wednesday, and businesses in this area are boarded up in anticipation of any protests. Rena Roy, ABC News, Minneapolis.
We'll, of course, have updates on this developing story both on air and online. You can find those updates on our website, 10news.com. Today, MTS announced a joint settlement with the family of a man who died while in their custody. An MTS code compliance inspector and a transit security guard took 24-year-old Angel Zapata Hernandez into custody for acting erratically back in 2019 at the Santa Fe depot. He became distressed and later died. His mother becoming emotional talking about the settlement this morning.
My deepest hope is that this settlement and the changes that MTS has made will ensure that this never happens again.
Today, the agency discussed some policy changes since her son's death, including de-escalation training and new procedures in place. MTS is releasing the video of the arrest today. Also today, Mayor Todd Gloria outlining his plan to combat homelessness and help San Diegans living on the streets get into permanent housing. It's one of the critical pieces of his budget, which he announced last week. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie has the details of the mayor's plan and the reaction to it.
Mayor Gloria's budget sets aside $10 million for homeless services. And for one man who was there this morning, it is those services that Gloria plans to amplify that he relies on as a safety net to keep from being without a home once again.
I'm a person who worked and became homeless, and had a job and still became homeless, economically homeless.
Mickey Major would once stay in the North Park Community Park when he had nowhere else to go. But today, Mickey came to share his success story of getting off the streets, something he says is hard to do in San Diego, even if you're working sometimes 3 jobs at once, in his case, if you don't have another safety net, such as family support.
Rent goes up, gas prices, and you're just trying to stay ahead, trying to stay on top of stuff, but you're living from paycheck to paycheck.
During his first 100 days in office, the mayor promised to address what he called a humanitarian crisis, stressing housing should be available and affordable for every person in San Diego, and saying he would come up with a compassionate, person-centered approach. Gloria said today the proposed $10 million includes more than $1 million to go to substance abuse programs, more than $6 million for additional shelter beds, and more funding for the PATH outreach program, workforce training, more case manager staffing, and a new department for homelessness strategies and solutions. Gloria will present that proposed budget to the City Council tomorrow. Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Well, a group of North County parents and students demanding answers from their school districts as they push for a return to full-time in-person learning. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell has details on their battle to return to campus. The board for the San Marcos Unified School District is scheduled to meet Tuesday, and some parents are furious there isn't any mention of an update to their reopening plan on their agenda.
5 days now! 5 days now!
And that's why a group of parents and their children held signs standing in front of the San Marcos Unified School District building to protest what they're calling a lack of movement to bring students back to campus full time. Right now, they're on campus 2 days a week.
We want to show our dismay and protest that this isn't even on the docket for them.
Last week, a judge declined to force both the Oceanside and San Marcos school districts to offer full-time in-person learning, saying each district has the discretion to design their reopening plans and timelines. The judge accepted the district's arguments, saying they are working to expand their return to campus plan and are therefore meeting their state mandate to offer in-person instruction at the greatest extent possible. This all comes from a lawsuit filed on behalf of North County parents in February to get several school districts to reopen. Carlsbad, Vista, Poway, and San Diego returned to full-time in-person instruction. Both Oceanside and San Marcos have not.
The 2 days just simply isn't effective. We're not learning as much, and we don't have the same social experiences that we normally get to have in school.
And some parents are concerned this will carry on past summer.
And maybe they think we've forgotten about what their job is, and we haven't. And we want this to happen now, before the summer.
Leaving some students worried if they don't return to campus soon, it will have a lasting impact on their grades and well-being.
Students are the ones who are the most affected, but we're also the ones who have the least amount of say in it.
We did reach out to the San Marcos Unified School District to ask them about these concerns, and we are still waiting to hear back from them. Reporting from San Marcos, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News. Well, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine could go back into distribution sometime this week. According to Dr. Anthony Fauci, federal regulators could bring the vaccine back, but with limitations.
I believe we'll get back with it, and it might be some restrictions. Not sure what that will be, whether they'll be age or sex, or whether they'll just come back with a warning of some sort. I don't want to get ahead of them, but I believe that we'll be back with some sort of indication a little bit different than we were before the pause.
Either way, Dr. Fauci says we should have an answer by Friday. Johnson & Johnson vaccinations were put on pause last week after reports of cases of a very rare blood clot. There were 6 cases reported out of more than 7 million people vaccinated.
Altimeter data confirm that Ingenuity has performed its first flight of a powered aircraft to another planet.
The moment history was made early this morning as the Mars Ingenuity helicopter took its first flight, and a team right here in San Diego helped complete that mission. A team at Qualcomm helped design the processor that serves as the brain in the helicopter. The Qualcomm technology keeps the helicopter from drifting away or crashing into a mountain potentially during the delay.
Real time is pretty much impossible. So you're conducting a mission, autonomous mission on a planet where the communication lag between any signal is anywhere between 3 minutes to 22 minutes away.
Wow. You are looking at actual images taken from the helicopter Ingenuity. Now, we have circled the helicopter at the center of your screen. This is the first powered, controlled flight of an aircraft on another planet. Ingenuity scheduled for 4 more flights.